I know how little I'm managing to explain why it's all so different here. If you have a verbal agreement, or even a written contract, or even if you've started rehearsals with a theatre company in this country, and you get a better job, or the director doesn't like you, the job's finished. You're out. And the fact that there's no government subsidy means that there's a completely different mindset on jobs. Money becomes a bigger issue than in Britain, and acting itself, the joy of it.
Yes, I hear you shout. Well, okay, Americans are very interested in money. But here we are, as I arrive in California. If you watch the aeroplane really carefully, you'll see how close the airport is to the centre and the area we're filming, because it drops now out of sight, and here I am.
The three theatres that constitute the Globe Theatre are all in this little complex here in the middle of Bilboa Park, which has universities, it has, what are those other things? Museums. It has museums and funny buildings like this one.
This rather strange building here, which was used, I think, by Orson Welles in his film Xanadu, is just an example of the strangeness that I felt all the time in California, because I was here doing Noel Coward. The building on the left here is the administration block. This round building is the main, I think you could call it main building of the Globe Theatre. Just extraordinary, beautiful conditions. And I don't mean the weather. This in front of us is in the round theatre, and the lights, you can see lights in between the trees up there in the middle, pointing downwards perhaps. Those are for the outdoor Shakespeare company. Here we are inside the theatre, looking at the set for Hay Fever. The angle and the lighting don't really show the size of the stage very well, but perhaps you can imagine it. The space is a bit like a small version of the Olivier. And it's certainly one of the top theatres in America, no question. This we've bounced onto the set next door at the little In the Round Theatre, which just seated about 220. They were doing a production of Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, while we were doing Noel Coward. And let's bounce next door now to the Open Air Theatre. Yes, here we are next door at the Open Air Theatre, where they would have 3 Shakespeare productions for the summer. Well, it's always summer. Open Air Theatre in California really doesn't have the same problems of open air theatre in the UK. These are just a few of the people working in the huge wardrobe department, making costumes for all the shows. And I was filming it at the time with such enthusiasm, like these pictures of the shoes, for heaven's sake, just because I wanted to be able to pass on to you all some of the sense of amazement that I felt at the time. I mean, I know it's just piles of costumes, but the fact that we were all so supported by such a professional and thorough organisation, my first real experience of it in America. But enough of pictures of waistcoats, and cutting now to... Yes, these are just more pictures of the workshop of the theatre, where they were building some sash windows for the next production. But things were built as though they had to survive a 5,000-mile trip across America. Meanwhile, I could be sitting out in the sun at the cafe next door against Henry Moore here, or Barbara Hepworth, in between rehearsals, and these were the serious thoughts which were going through my head as I was filming at the time.
I'm not sure what it's called. It seems to be a woman sawn in half, sticking her bottom out, but I may have that wrong. Yes, it's actually called reclining figure arch leg, and they probably didn't want to upset kids or something, or Americans, by saying that it was cut in half. Or maybe they just had to do that to get it through a door. And this, the Hepworth, is a sort of Halloween mask, is actually called Figure for a Landscape. And there.
There was always a great sense, particularly, well, with everything, but here with the costumes, of being cared for by so many people at the theatre. The detail of the costumes is really, I think, as good as you'd find anywhere. And here's one of my many costumes for what was really not a very big part. Sadly, I don't have more film of all that, but I do have film of one more exciting piece of San Diego to show you in a moment. Backstage, I can't show you the sound of what was going on back on stage, so here we're cutting to the outside. And now this, although I know most of you won't be fans of zoos, does have one thing which I think you might want me to share with you.
No, don't walk in.